All right. Good morning. This is our weekly hypnosis talks with me, Jasiah, and the great Pete. And we are going to continue our conversation from last week just about um, what are the actual steps that it takes to, you know, okay, so you're in a certain place and you want to get better, and you start to imagine this future self. You start to feel how it feels to be this future self. You even, you know, meditate and breathe, and you're, doing all of these right things. But then, and it feels good in that moment. But then when you get back into your other life, it's still painful, suffering, torturous. And so, as good as that feeling is, like, what does it really do for you? What is the purpose? What are ways that you can be in that place that you're in that you want to get out of? Like, what are some of the concrete steps? So that's what we were going to talk about today.
Yes. Yeah. Because this is one where if I think of any change, one I have made in my life, right? And even for my clients, it's not come without obstacles, right? Obstacles always are there. Now, the obstacles could be people, it could be a place, and it could just be things in our lives, right? It could be a combination of all three. Um, but the best thing we can do is being prepared for these obstacles. Um, and that's the one thing I found for myself and a lot of my clients is the best thing, right? Because let's say we're in a house with people who obviously love us, but they go, okay, sweetie, like you have that pipe dream, right? You live that, right? Okay. And it's a very defeating thing because we go, wow, these people who love me don't believe in me, right? And it's a very real, heavy feeling. And one thing we can learn is understanding that they are and can only come from their limits, not yours, right? And the biggest limits we get are almost always from the people who love us the most, right? Because they don't want to see us fail. They don't want to see us get hurt. But the truth is, they're just saying, I could never do that. So I would get hurt if I did that. And they pass it on to you. And so when we think about who we are becoming, right? Whether it's in our career, whether it's in relationships or just life in general, we can't ignore those people, right? We can't just pretend that they no longer exist, right? Because they are and will always be there. And so one of the best things that I spend time with on myself and with my clients is going, how will I deal with those people? Right? Is it someone who I get to ignore? Right? Maybe it's my next door neighbor. I don't need to talk to him. Who cares? Right? That's easy. But what if it's my brother, my wife? Right? I can't just be like, well, I'm getting a divorce now, right? Yep, you're no longer my brother, right? I won't see you at any family reunions. They're still going to be there. And so what we need to do is have a plan, right? And once we have a plan, we have to always follow through on it. And that's the hard part, right? Coming up with a plan is easy. The hard part is the following through. Because when, let's say, we'll just say it's my brother, right? We'll think, knock on wood, he's always been my biggest supporter. But let's say he wasn't, right? And I know I'm going to go to his house and he's going to be like, hey, Pete, how's that little business of yours going? Is it doing well? Right? And that kind of sarcasm, defeating tone, right? Well, I can either go, wow, like I'm going to give in. But if my plan is to go, well, he's coming from his limitations. So I know he doesn't think he can do it. And that has nothing to do with me. One, I take very personal. One, I take zero, responsibility or personalness to it because it's not about me. It's about him, right? And once we kind of go down that road, we can't go back. The option to go back is there, but we have to be firm in our decision to not go back. All right. So that is the most important step, right? And this is one where I'll use a client I have now who's working on getting ready to go to, I think it was Pennsylvania or Florida over summer vacation, right? I was working with him. I go, what we're going to do is every day when you go to school, you're going to act as if you're going to the airport, right? You're going to treat your backpack, everything you put in it for school, as if it's your clothes, right? You're going to go with these feelings of, oh man, we're going to the airport, right? And you're going to find day one, it's going to feel kind of weird, right? It's going to be like, oh man, I don't know. Like, it's not real. Day 7, it's going to be very real, right? You're teaching your mind. You're training your mind, right? The repetition of everything we do validates everything to our mind, and it's one where if I think about like our training, right? They just don't go, hey, Pete, here's a technique. Go off and do it, right? And just be successful. It's here's a technique. Let's spend a day practicing it to get better at it, right? Because that's when the real life situation comes. We can handle it a lot easier. It's not saying it's going to go perfect, but it's a lot easier. We learn that in school, right? But we tend to forget it once we graduate, right? We go, I'm 18, graduated high school. I'm supposed to know it all, right? And we forget everything we learned. But once we can bring that part back in, right, we get to now go, okay, so who's my future self, right? Is it, the person in the most amazing relationship ever? If it is, we go, okay, how do they have that amazing relationship? They communicate well. They share stories. They're part of each other's lives. A win is a win for both. A loss is a loss for both, right? They're teammates, right? All these different things. And then we get to begin reverse engineering it, going, what obstacles am I going to hit getting to that level? Because we can't go, well, I'm instantly there. We can't go from 0 to 60, right? We go, what obstacles am I going to have to jump over, to work through, to bypass to get there? And take time, right? This isn't meant to be, I got 15 minutes, right? I'll write it all out now. It could take weeks to come up with all the hurdles, right? As you're going on, new hurdles are going to come too, right? So it's always fine tuning it as well. But the main thing, come up with the main hurdles, right? Is it, oh man, this is going to be new. So my partner might be like, hey, what's up? Right? What are you doing? You trying to act like a different person, right? That's a real thing, right? Or they might go, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And that might be like weird to you, that they're like, oh my God, I've been looking for this, right? Be prepared for that stuff. Because once you see the obstacles, you go as that new person, what would they do, right? Not what would I do, because I'm not that person yet. What would they do? Well, they would say this, and they would think that, and they would do that. Great. Let me practice those. Not once, not twice, but every day, right? Little moments. Don't wait for the big ones. Do it in the little moments, right? Because we need to celebrate every win we get, right? We're so used to the loses, right? The defeats, the panics and the anxiety and the pain, that we not used to the wins. And so if we can get even a small win, right? So I look at it as today I went to the dentist, right? Still finishing up my root canal, getting a crown and all that. And to me, a win is going, you know what? I was able to get the receptionist to smile. You know what? That brightened their day just a little bit. Doesn't mean it changed their day? No, but it brightened their day. That's a win, right? Because the way I look at myself is my job is to make everyone else's life better just because I'm in it. And it's not that I got to make their life better, but just me being there makes it better. And so them smiling, that's a win. I'll celebrate that. I'm like, yeah, I did a good job, right? I was able to joke around with the dentist, and he started laughing, and he's like, man, I don't get to laugh like that with a lot of my patients because, a lot of times you get, I'm a dentist, they fear me, they hate me, right? And so him just being able to laugh over something stupid is still a win. I think you might be on mute.
I am. Thanks. I also just wanted to cut in and say that that's also validation. That's like, and that people talk about that a lot, is to validate yourself so that yourself, your body, your memories, your cells, your organs go, oh, we did something right. We did something towards that goal being right. And so I just wanted to interject that as well.
And that's the importance of it. Right? The more wins your body gets, the more wins it will look for. And this is where, if I think of like Terry Crews talks about it a lot when he used to be a personal trainer. When he would get a new client, he would be like, all I want you to do is just go to the gym. Don't touch any machines. Don't change out of your clothes. Just go in, walk in. Just take a loop around and then leave. Do that just for a week straight, 7 days of just going in, walking around and leaving, right? Then on day 8, you go in and you look at the machines, right? Most machines nowadays have little placards, cards, what they do, and just read about what it does. Don't do anything yet. Just read about it. And then, week 3, it goes, now we're going to touch maybe 1 or 2 of those machines, not all of them. We're going to pick 1 or 2, right? After like 3 months of just slowly increasing, his success rate of people looking forward to going to the gym was like 80-something%, which is huge because a lot of people hate going to the gym, right? But the difference between him and what we do on our own is the fact he wasn't, it's all or nothing, right? It very much is step by step by step.
And you know what I think when you say that, for some reason, I feel like what it also does is it gives you something to want. Because if you're going there and then you're not doing it, it's almost building something inside you that's going, oh, I'm just going there and not coming back, opposed to going in and why wouldn't I touch those machines? Oh, I can't yet. So by the time that you can, it's built up. I don't know if that's on purpose. I'm assuming it is, but that's what I get from that.
Yeah, I could see it being on purpose, right? But it's one where it doesn't become this painful thing, right? It's hard if we just go, man, I'm supposed to make 6 figures if we're used to making 20 grand a year, right? To our brain, that is huge, right? You might as well be going from 20 grand to $1 million. It doesn't matter, right? It's going to go, that's massive, right? But at the same time, if you went, you know what, I'm just going to go till 20 grand to 30 grand, 30 to 50, 50 to 70, 70 to 100, right? Those little steps are a lot easier to obtain, right? It's easy to go, okay, so if I'm making 20 grand, what do I need to do just to get a boost, right? Is it changing careers? Is it a new class? Is it a promotion, right? You get to figure that out and just take that first small step, right?
So what if you have blocks around the first step? Like, okay, I know where I'm at and I want to be in another place. I can see that future self and I don't know how to get there. I'm assuming, part of it is just like, really small baby steps, and also, probably just, I guess I want to talk a bit more about like the imagining, like what is the purpose of really imagining yourself in that future place?
Yeah. And so this is how I look at it. Our unconscious mind, to it, everything is real, right? It's why we can watch a movie, right? And let's say it's an underdog story. We really root for that underdog. Because let's be honest, 90% of us view ourselves as underdogs, right? We view as everything is stacked against us. And when we see an underdog win, something inside of us goes, yeah, like, we feel it, right? That's because to our unconscious mind, that moment is very real, right? So when we imagine ourselves in that future state, right, and it's not just a picture of a Lamborghini, a mansion, whatever. It's not just that. It's the feelings behind it, right? The feelings become more important than the actual image, right? Because our mind, especially our unconscious mind, will move towards feelings over actions. And so this is one where I loved, like Bob Proctor used to talk about a lot, is the fact that a desire is the image plus emotion. That creates the burning desire to reach it, right? With just emotion and no image, we get stuck. Just an image with no emotion, we're stuck. But an image plus emotion builds the desire, right? It's what gives us that energy to know when we hit that obstacle, because we can't lie to ourselves. We're going to hit an obstacle. We will overcome it, right? So the importance of the image is to know to create those milestones of like, okay, I went from having a 1984 Toyota Camry with 400,000 miles to 2023 Tesla, right? That's a milestone of physicalness that the mind can go, okay, we're going in the right direction, right? But in order to break through from that 1984 Camry to that 2023 Tesla is going to be the feelings behind it, right? Why is it a Tesla, not a Lamborghini? Why is it a Tesla, not a Ford Mustang? Why is it a Tesla and not a Honda Odyssey, right? There's a reason it's that. There's a feeling behind it. And typically we go, well, that's selfish, right? I'm not getting a Tesla because it's going to help my neighbor out, right? I'm getting it for me, right? What does it mean to me? What does it mean? Like, I'm going to have an image that I care about the environment. Does it mean that I actually do care about the environment? Does it mean that I'm so far ahead in technology that I just feel like I'm just a wizard, like I'm advanced, right? They're all right to the right person, right? But what we typically do is we go, oh, I can't say that. I can't feel that because someone who doesn't have it will judge me, right? Mm-hmm. Someone who doesn't want it will judge me, right? And so we filter out our true feelings for stuff. But in my experience, there's no wrong true feeling, because when we look at people just in the world, in our lives, it doesn't matter if we go, hey, I'm going to go get a Honda Odyssey or a Tesla. There will people who will be like, yeah, that's awesome. And there will people who are like, come on, are you serious? That's ridiculous. It doesn't matter what we choose. There will always be the opposition and the love, right? That's why we got to really be our true selves and go, if I want a Tesla because I just want to feel superior. Get that Tesla, right? Because that's honoring your true self. Along the way, will things probably change? Probably, most likely, right? But in the moment, if that's what it is, that's what it is. Accept it.
So, okay, so when you're trying to get from your present self and your present situation to your desired future self and situation, it's really important to tap into your emotions. Like, what are your emotions around being there right now? What are your emotions? What are the emotions that are, guiding you or pushing you towards wanting this future self, situation, car, what have you? And to just be kind of, real and honest with those, and to take, I'd like to just kind of re-say sort of what you were saying. So let's just add a few more of those, and then we'll wrap up.
Yep. So if we were to start from like the very beginning, right? We need to take time, and again, no need to rush it, right? If it takes you a week to do this first part, perfect. If it takes you an hour, perfect. There's no need to rush. But first is you need to see yourself in a future version, right? Now, when I say that, you have to understand that it's not who you are now. Otherwise, you would already have it, right? So don't go, well, I don't have that. I don't believe that, right? Don't worry about that, because see your future self as successful, right? Notice how you look, how you feel, everything you've accomplished along the way, right? And when you look at all of that, really focus on the emotional side, right? Because the emotion is just as important as the actual picture where we want to see ourselves going, right? The happiness, the pride, the fulfillment, right? The whatever, right? Focus on all those feelings, right? Because the truth is, every one of those feelings you can get in your current situation. We're just not used to looking for them, right? And what we're doing is we're training our mind to start looking for those stuff. Just like when we go down a path, right? Once you go down that path, you'll see everything on that path. But when you stand at that fork in the road and you look down the path, you may see 20 feet before it goes around a corner. You don't get to see the rest. And so with this is you're just going, I'm going to choose that path, knowing the further I go down on it, the more clear I will see everything that I'm looking for, right? So once you have that, you know what you're doing. You see yourself and you feel yourself in this future self, right? Really look at then the obstacles that'll get in the way, right? It's one where I think I've used this expression with you before, right? If I dropped you in the woods, right, and I didn't give you a map, it'll be very hard to find your home, right? If, however, I was like, hey, here's a map. All you have to do is go north. The moment you hit a river, you won't go, I got to turn around. You'll go, oh, I'm at an obstacle. Let me just get over it, right? Let me look around what I have to get over it. What skills do I have? Have I gained? What's in the environment that I can use? You'll get past it and you'll keep going. When you hit the next obstacle, you'll still go, wow, I'm even closer now. And you'll find another solution to that, right? So really, it's that guiding moment to keep you going. So you see yourself at the end. You see you picking that path, going either the thoughts, either the emotions, either the actions that this person takes. I don't do them yet. Perfectly fine, right? But I'm going to go down that path and I'm going to learn the skills to do each and every one of those things. You get ready for the obstacles, right? Know the basic ones that are going to come, how that person would overcome them. And then you just keep practicing it, right? Every day, no matter what you do, right? You're just going, okay, like, all right, so if I'm a person who looks for good things in other people, all right, what do? Let me go. I see I'm going down the road. Wow, that person let that person cross the street. That's a good thing someone does. Oh man, that person paid for my coffee. That's a really good, right? You'll start looking for these new thoughts and emotions, actions, how you can implement them in your everyday life. Knowing that every time you see it, it means you are moving further and further down that path.
And then validate it.
And feel validated along the way.
Really give yourself that moment to like breathe it in and go, hey, I just did that. That just happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes. And stay focused, right? Yeah. There will always be the shiny object. There will always be the distraction. There will always be the reason to think and feel the opposite, right? But when you stay steadfast on that path, you can still see those things, but go, nope, I still see more of what I'm looking for. right? And you always revisit it, always, right? It's one where, again, I'll use Bob Proctor. If we go in the marketing world, there's Taylor Welch, Russell Brunson. There's the um, self improvement industry, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, right? All these people. This is like a big part of their thing is they don't just set their goal, they don't set their desires, their actions, and then leave it. They revisit it every single day.
And that's what Joe Dispenza was saying too. And we're going to have to do a part 3, I suppose, because we are already past our 20 minutes ago so quick. But same thing where Joe says, what he does is he allots 2 hours every day for his meditation, which he says, no, it doesn't take that long, but he allots it so that his mind and body and spirit can just know that there's time. And once he gets into a peaceful place, he says, like, who do I want to be today? And so then he just, sits with that, and he really sits with it until he understands like what that is and what that would mean to get there today. And then once he's out of his meditation, then he has a sense of like, this is who I want to be today. And it really sets the tone. And so, gives that opportunity, like, you're saying, like, if it's like you want to see the good in others, or, if you want to get that car, or if you want to get into a new situation, okay, well, what, like, who's that person that I want to be today that will get me to those things. And so we'll have to talk more just about, kind of the guided meditations that you can do for yourself, and like, just kind of like the living, breathing, walking, just the awareness meditations, and also like what it does for you on a cellular level, because memories and, I think another thing I heard Joe say that I liked was something like, all we are is a series of past experiences and habits having been built up for today. And of course, that's not all we are, but I'm just, loosely quoting him. But for us to remember that who we are, and what we're doing is a series of habits that have been built for 20, 30, 40 years. And so it just kind of, for me, it makes it a little more less solid, meaning that there's more ability to change. Like a hardwood table feels solid as ever. But when we learn that it's all just electrons moving really, really quickly and it's not solid at all, it's just a different perception. And I think that we as humans are also that. We often think that we are this and it can't be changed. And for me, when I remember, no, we're this because of a series of habits and events that have happened, then that means if I start to change more series of events and habits, that I can actually have a lot more control to move myself into this other place. By the grace of God or luck, sometimes it happens on its own, but more often than not, we have to do that work, which is the work. So we'll have to do a part 3. Yes. But thanks for everyone who came and listened. And as always, you can pop in questions later for us. If there's something you want to hear or ask, then please do. And until then, we hope you all have a great week. Yes. Ciao.